Ready, Ron? Okay, very good. Good evening, everybody. This is the City of Huntington Woods City Commission meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, today is Tuesday, November 19th, 7:30. So the first thing I would do is ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first, we're going to have roll call. Commissioner Steinhardt,
Present.
Commissioner Elder,
Present.
Commissioner Rozelle,
Present.
Jules Olsman, Mayor Pro Tem, present. Okay, so the first thing we have is the approval of the agenda for this evening. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? No? Approved. Can we have approval of the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any conversation, any discussion? None, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved. Okay, so we have, let's see. I don't think there were any communications, Mr. City Manager, were there?
No, sir.
Okay, I didn't see any, okay. So we have county commissioner and elected official remarks. Don't see any elected officials here tonight. They're all in hiding after the election. So we can skip that. Now we have public participation. Public participation gives the public the right to comment to the city commission and to the city, because we're televised, on any matter that is not on the agenda. So I see some members of the public here. Anybody want to comment tonight? Tell our clerk your name and address, please.
Do I need to? Jessica Downey, 13160 Kingston. Short comment tonight. As you know, I've attended nearly every city commission meeting for the last 2 years. I've also attended nearly every Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting. On October 29th, Mr. Wilson and I both attended the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting. While many things were discussed in that meeting, my main takeaway from it was that the Parks and Rec Advisory Board would like better communication and transparency from City Commission. I think this speaks to some of my frustration in regards to Vale Jones Park, as the two parties, City Commission and Parks and Rec, who are supposed to review, advise, design, and facilitate plans for city parks, do not work in conjunction with each other. In fact, I feel like the issue of Vale Jones Park specifically has been a ping pong ball bouncing back and forth between Parks and Rec and City Commission. As long as it keeps bouncing, nobody ever has to take responsibility. After the October City Commission meeting, as well as the October Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting, I think most of us are finally in agreement that Vale Jones Park needs some serious attention. It seems the Parks and Rec Advisory Board needs some direction in what their role would be in that process. It was discussed that a member of Parks and Rec would start attending City Commission meetings so everybody could be on the same page. I was hoping a representative would be here to share these same sentiments. But my hope is that there will be a meeting of the minds between the groups involved, and a definitive path forward for Vale Jones Park will be decided upon. And I just urge Commission to communicate with Parks and Rec. I've also urged Parks and Rec to communicate with City Commission to come to an agreement once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public participation? Okay, hearing none. Then I think we can close public participation and move to the items of business. Resolution, or number one, is a public hearing with regard to the 2025 grant allocation reprogramming of 2023 funds from community development. Mr. City Manager, do you want to address that?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Oldman. So at this point, we would like to open a public hearing to take public comments. We are eligible to receive for the program year 2025, $8,274. So we have a public hearing scheduled for tonight to receive any comments on that. Once that's open, comments are heard and then closed. We do have a resolution for how we would like, city administration's recommendation on how to allocate those funds.
Okay, so I don't see anybody from the public who wants to comment on this scintillating topic. Excuse me, so I presume we can close item number 1
Yes.
and move to item number 2, which is a resolution authorizing the 2025 community development allocation.
Thank you. Out of the $8,274 that we received, city administration is recommending allocate $2,482.20 for our bus program. That'll go to pay for the wages for our drivers that do transportation services for seniors and for some of our programs. And then $5,791.80 for the removal of architectural barriers. That's going to be relative to the installation of traffic signal and pedestrian crossing we've been working on 11 Mile, which we'll discuss later this evening, to make those, that crossing ADA compliant. We can utilize that portion of the funds for that project.
Any public discussion with regard to item number 2? Hearing none, we'll close that. Any, pardon me, discussion among my colleagues on the city commission?
Just one, for point of clarification, could you just explain, Chris, what the architectural barriers are that are being removed?
So in removal of architectural barriers it's a common classification that they use for these CDBG monies. What we're doing is taking that, where there's no pedestrian crosswalk right now, they'll cut that curb out and put in a ramp, a typical ADA sidewalk ramp.
Okay.
So that's where that portion of funding will go to.
Thanks.
Anything further? Hearing none, can we get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to approve the 2025 fiscal year CDBG grant resolution as presented.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no one in opposition, the resolution is passed. Okay, we're moving on to item number 3 here now, matter of authorizing the reprogramming of 2023 CBDG funds. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Olsman. So in 2023, on this similar application, one of the allocations we asked for was $4,988 that we tied to a specific grant application that we submitted for a program we were going to run at the recreation center for some significant renovation to the locker room facilities. We had great hopes and I think had some expectations that we would receive that grant, and then the grant, we were not awarded that. It was a competitive grant statewide, and we fell just below the award barrier for that. So fortunately, we had tied our funds that year directly to that program. So now that year passed, Oakland County has reached out to us about reprogramming that. What we've had success with in the past, and council may recall, the commission may recall, we did this earlier. We've allocated money to the Oakland County Minor Home Repairs Fund. They administer a fund which will allow income-eligible residents to apply through Oakland County for repairs to their home. We've had a couple people take advantage of that. They've got new roofs, new walkways. By partnering with Oakland County, there's a couple of benefits. One, they administer the program. They have a lot of experience doing that. But secondly, if we ran it ourselves, we could do this ourselves, but then people would be limited to the $4,988, where if we partner with Oakland County, they can apply for larger awards. And people can do more than $5,000 worth of work. You can go through that relatively easy by doing windows and something on your home. So we think it's been successful. We may not get a program or project every year, but if we get one every 2 to 3 years at a sizable amount, I think it's worthwhile our participation. I think it's a good program for our residents. So since we can't use it as originally programmed, what we're recommending is to take that $49.88 and allocate it back to the Oakland County CDBG program for the minor home repair program and allow our residents to apply for that.
Public comment? Hearing none, public participation is closed. Any comment by my colleagues? Hearing none, participation is closed. We get a motion to approve.
So moved. Seconded.
A second, okay, very good. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed. All right, we're moving on to item number 4, which is the matter of consideration to approve the contract with CTS Companies of Bloomfield Hills for IT managed services through 12/31/27 in the contract amount of $335,052. Mr. City Manager or City Treasurer, whoever wants to address this.
Thank you. I'll defer to Finance Director Hahn.
Okay. So this body approved the RFP for this back in July. since we went with the company we're with now, VC3, they were IT right first, and then they got bought out by VC3, which is a company out of South Carolina. And we've just seen a huge deterioration in services. A lot of my colleagues that I've talked with, like around the county, are experiencing this as well. A lot of people are dropping this company in favor of pursuing other avenues. So we decided to do the same, and that's why we went to this body for approval for this RFP. Since July, I've done technical walkthroughs, numerous meetings and presentations of city infrastructure. We had at least a dozen companies walk through, and we received probably 10 bids. And the thing, especially with IT services, is when bids come in, it's a lot of apples, oranges, pears, various other models of pricing and providing services. So city administration had to kind of manipulate and look at different facets of what services were being provided, and what pricing, were they local or not. Because one of the big things that department heads have told city administration, and what employees have told us, is that it's hard to get somebody on site. This is a company that's out of state. They have people here, but they're overwhelmed. They're not doing the job. So we went with CTS companies out of Bloomfield Hills. They've been around since 1980. They started originally in phones, and they've moved into managed IT services. I first heard of them during a conversation I had with a colleague of mine from the city of Rochester. They had a long-time contract with the Rochester Police Department, and they applied for the bid, and I was very impressed with their professionalism, their length of service, and the fact that they're 20 minutes up the road. So if there's an emergency, if there's something where, I'm not going to go, I or any employee is not going to go in and try to reset servers and hardwire stuff. That's not what, we're paid to do. We're paid to serve the residents. And so I really do think that this contract will put us on a better footing for IT services. This is a very important component of the work we do here, and will continue to be more important as technology advances. So the pricing that we worked out, because I'm anticipating that we're going to be doing a lot of upgrading, we've had a lot of deferred maintenance in this area, so the company and city administration agreed to kind of front load the contract money and then decrease it over time, because they're expecting in the first year there's going to be a lot more demand on their services. This contract has been reviewed by the city attorney. Do you have any other questions regarding anything? No. And that's
Rewrote and rewrote and rewrote, so.
yeah, we did several rewrites. We were really trying to get this really to where the city was in a good position on it.
Did you remove that indemnification clause? Thank you.
Any questions?
Do the services include any training on cybersecurity for the employees?
Yes. So VC3 did this, and CTS will emulate it, although I'm expecting it to be more effective. So currently, we have quarterly trainings that so we'll get like an email saying every employee gets an email saying you have this video to watch. It's a 5-minute video with a quiz, and it goes through, phishing, password security, don't open bad attachments, don't download strange files, basic things like that. CTS does have that capability. 90% of the time with these firms, they're going to be outsourced. They're going to have a third party do it, just because they don't have the capability in house. But yes, that will be part of our package.
Further questions? Again, opening it up to the public. Some scintillating issue that captured your attention. Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the contract with CTS Companies of Bloomfield Hills for IT managed services through December 31st, 2027 in the amount of approximately $335,052.
Seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any? Motion passes. Okay, item number 5. This is a matter of consideration to approve the new City of Huntington Woods investment policy dated November 19th, 2024. City Manager, Ethan, who wants to tackle this?
Thank you, Mr. Hahn.
So part of our partnership with Robinson Capital that this body signed off on a couple months ago, they went through our investment policy and they pointed out a couple of things that obviously we still have to abide by Public Act 20, but there were a couple areas that they wanted to clean up and bring into alignment with the body that they consider the authority members, which is the Association of Public Treasurers of the United States and Canada. So between myself and the people over at Robinson Capital, we tweaked a few things with the investment policy, and I created a list of things. This may not be inclusive, but I tried to hit on the broad points. Most of it is cleaning up, some language, unnecessary language that really doesn't offer more protection. It's just another hurdle, and it would hurt our investment capacity. The best case scenario, obviously, is our protection of the principal, and then the principal amount invested, and then after that, it's liquidity, and then getting a good yield on our investments. So it doesn't change anything there. A couple areas just moves things around. I will say one of the big things that we took out was the other investment policy had the benchmark for buying CDs was through banks tied to an index that company in the area has. Actually, this Robinson Capital, but that's not really part of PA20. It was just something that my predecessor's predecessor put in. And so we just cleaned up that language and get it into alignment with the Association of Public Treasurers of the United States and Canada standards. We will be taking this to them as well to get it certified as well. So that's an extra layer of protection for our residents, taxpayers.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you've done on this. Any questions by my colleagues?
So I know that some of the newer banks, when they pop up, offer great rates, and you've been very prudent in the past about putting in under the FDIC insured limit, enough so that even the accrued interest was subject to insurance by the federal government. Is that anywhere incorporated in this policy, or is that really just continue to be sort of like your judgment? New bank doesn't really have a rating yet, so you might want to take advantage of the rate, and you give them $240,000, to do that, or is it I didn't see it in here necessarily.
No. So part of the reason why they wanted to do a rewrite is because the way it works with Robinson Capital is we give them a chunk of money. In this case, I think it was $2 million, and it functions like an LGIP does. So they manage a portfolio and they just have the money in there.
Okay.
And within that portfolio, there's the way our investment policy was written. They couldn't invest the money in their portfolio that they do for everybody else. So that was the kind of what they came to me and said, hey, this is an issue. And a lot of it is that, and this is like the gray area where my judgment would come in, is we have this $250,000 limit, but we could put it in treasuries, that's, and it's like tight versus the actual physical individual security. So that was kind of the gray area there, and that's why they wanted to take it through this process of approval through the Association of Public Treasurers. That answers your question.
Yeah, and then are they monitoring diversification by institution and by asset type,
Yes.
or are you responsible
Yes,
for that?
that is there because it's their portfolio that they're managing.
Okay.
They are monitoring that. In addition, so they're monitoring that, but they have a custodial relationship with Huntington Bank. So in addition, Huntington Bank like for example, when I get my statements for this account, they're Huntington statements, but it's managed through Robinson Capital. They did that. They combined with Huntington Bank a few years ago to create kind of an extra layer of security, so there's multiple eyes watching the fund.
And we have a contractual relationship with Robinson where they're a fiduciary required to act in our best interest.
Correct.
So that's
Yes.
fine. I have no other questions, thank you.
All right. Can we have a motion to approve the investment policy?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion is approved. We're on to item number 6, which is a matter of consideration to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the city of Berkeley for the provision of rock salt at the rate of $206.54 per 3.25 tons. The way the weather is going.
Hope we don't have
Sure
to
we're
use
gonna
any
use-
of it.
Well, you may not. I hope we do, but it doesn't look like we will. Ethan, you want to brief us on this?
Yeah, so this is a routine every year.
Buy rock salt.
Yes, we buy salt for the purpose of salting roads, when and if there's rain, ice, and snow, there will be some. Usually we don't use a whole lot, but this is just a standard agreement with the City of Berkeley. This follows a trend in local government where items like this we can combine with larger communities to get a better rate. This is the standard. I think you guys approve this every year.
Very, very standard
Yes.
routine. Thank you very much. Any public comment on this proposal? Hearing none, public participation is closed. Any comment or insights by my insightful colleagues on this intergovernmental matter? Hearing none, that's closed, so I would ask for a motion to approve the governmental agreement with the city of Berkeley to purchase rock salt for this coming winter.
So moved.
Second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes, approved. Okay, we're on to item number 7, which is a matter of consideration to award the bid for the traffic signal installation at 11 Mile in Mortensen to Rauhorn Electric of Bruce Township in the amount of $379,095.50. Mr. City Manager, do you want this, or Ethan?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So I think as the council's aware, the commission's aware, we've been working on this traffic signal bid for quite a while. The design work took longer than we anticipated. Fleece and Vandenbrink did assist. Nowak and Frallis, because they have a lot of expertise in this area. So we got the design done. It took us a while longer than we anticipated to get clearance from the road commission for that portion of the work, but we finally got an approved design that the road commission signed off on. We went out to bid and received 3 bids for this work. They were all in relatively close amount. The lowest bid was just over $379,000. I think the highest bid was $389,000. The lowest bid was with Rawhorn out of Bruce Township in Macomb County. Nowak and Frallis did review the bids and review the recommendations from Rawhorn, and they recommend approval this time. If we award this now, then it'll allow us to begin the process. There's going to be a lot of work with Edison on relocating some utility poles, and there are long lead times on that. We still anticipate this work will be done next summer. We'll get this installed for the beginning of the school year, because there is a traffic signal which is going to be predominantly flowing the same way most of the time, unless somebody triggers it to turn off of Mortensen. But the biggest advantage here is the pedestrian crossing across 11 Mile, which we currently don't have, between Woodward and Coolidge, which is kind of the impetus for putting this together. So that's the scope of the project. I know it's taken a while to get here, but as a reminder, we did get a grant for $100,000 from the state of Michigan through the State Streets program to put this in, so we'll utilize those funds and some of the CDBG monies we talked about earlier tonight to accomplish this project.
Thank you very much. Any public comment? Comment from my colleagues?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager Wilson, is this gonna be where public safety can also activate the light to pull out of, the fire hall if they need to, so they can control the signal as well as, the regular timing of the signal itself?
Yes, it's a good point, thank you. That was part of the design of this. There's a device that the public safety will control, because this is almost directly adjacent to their fire hall bay. So when they exit the fire, they can control the lights, so they'll have access to exit. And also if they come back from a run, they'll be able to close east and westbound traffic so they can back into the bay. So they have a device to control this. There's only one, I couldn't get one, but they trusted them with it, so. They do have ability to control that for emergency access as needed.
The mayor and the commissioners don't have one either, for the record.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very good.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I have some comments on this as well as some questions for the city manager. First of all, I've been wanting this project for a very long time. It provides safety for especially our families crossing the roads over there to school. So I was very excited and really appreciate that our staff and team went after the grant and took the time and effort to get this project to where it is. Where I am very disappointed is the subcontractor as well as the engineering firm Nowak Frowes. Either their inability to understand the question of what is your approach or commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, or just their lack of, I don't care, this is my information, and the information that was submitted to that question was, we are in compliance with federal law. That is not a policy on DEI. So, I've been asking this question from all of the new vendors that we've been getting. CTS, the vendor that we provided, had 50% female women in their working population, 30+% in their, people of color, various religions. Like, let's have a conversation about this. And I might want to also remind the city that we have committed to an anti-racism plan 3 or 4 years ago now. And where are we today? So I am very disappointed with this particular firm's answer, especially since Nowak and Frowes had told us that during the subcontracting process that this would be something that they paid attention to. So I cannot support this proposal as given to me today. However, I want to make it very clear that I do support this project, and it does sound like we have some leeway and time to get this right. So, Mr. City Manager, my question to you is if we can figure this out, and my understanding is that the other bid was $10,000 more?
There was 2 other bids. They were
Okay.
both roughly 10,000
So
more.
they're not extravagantly more. So what I would like to know is if this does not get approved, A, does it jeopardize our grant money from the state or the county? And B, does it jeopardize the construction, which is next summer, TBD, right? We don't have a date, we don't have a deadline yet, because I am not satisfied with this information.
Wouldn't jeopardize the grant. I think the worst could do is if you went with a different bidder, you might be required to pay any difference in cost, but the grant's not gonna cover the entire cost. Anyway, so we'd be on the hook for all of that cost. Time-wise, I'm told, and I won't try to be directly involved in this, but there's around a 90-day to 120-day lead time for Edison, for them to get their work done, for them to order the poles, put the poles in place, and move things around, so. I think you have, a little bit of time, not a lot, you could probably wait 1 more month and make that deadline, but I don't want to commit to that entirely, but I think that would be my best estimation.
I want the vendors that we work with to know that this was upsetting to me. This is not acceptable. That is all, thank you.
Any further discussion? Motion to approve the recommendation to move forward with the bid for the traffic signal installation at 11 Mile and Mortensen to Rahorn Electric of Bruce Township in the amount of $379,095 as submitted. Do you want to make that motion?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I don't have a problem moving it, but I do want to, just for purposes of additional discussion, I'll move a motion.
Second.
Second?
So I do not have in my packet the bid responses from the other folks and what their responses to DEI are. Am I missing something?
No, it was in the bid documents, but none of them responded to the DEA portion of the bid.
So do we know if one of the other vendors responded in a more favorable manner?
I can't say any of them did. There wasn't a response to that.
Period.
Correct.
Got it.
And, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to also make a comment about, the variety and diversity of businesses that we work with. I realize that companies come in different sizes, and DEI is not something that's, really intuitive. There's not even an industry best standard for, across the board. So the point is that we are learning, and we're on a journey, and we're learning ourselves, and the city also has to develop our own process, right? This is a journey. There's no right or wrong answer. But to blatantly respond when asked, where are you on this journey? And the response was, we are in compliance with federal law for EEOC. That is not acceptable. That is just not an acceptable answer. And with the example of CTS, with these smaller businesses, what I found is that you do have to ask. It's not intuitive. And when you start having those conversations, one, you communicate that this is important to the city. Our residents showed up multiple times and told us that this is something that's important to them. The Anti-Racism Committee has been working on this for the last year. This is an impactful policy, and I really look forward to what the committee comes up with. I hope we're going to get something from them soon. But listen, we spend $8 million a year in our city budget, and who we spend it with can make an impact. So I guess my only comment is we work with a lot of small businesses of different backgrounds, and there is no right or wrong answer, but I'm looking for that commitment and a willingness to partner with us on a shared vision and a shared, effort. Effort is what I'm looking for.
So just to clarify, are we looking to maybe postpone this to have the engineer seek out responses from the other respondents to see where they're at? Is that maybe what you're asking? I just want to be clear. I don't necessarily object to that. So this is like a failure by the engineer to really get this information from the bid respondents, and because I don't see anything from any of the other bids or so I don't know how or where this information is. How do you know what the DEI response was?
So, it sounds like what we can do, you had said, we can table this. I can send an email tomorrow and get this going. This isn't going to take really long. We could table this for 3 weeks until our December 10 meeting. In that time, we can compile from the vendors and the bids their responses. And if they may, depending on the company, they may say, they may give an answer of no. I don't know. You guys can do with that what you will. But we can get legitimate responses, get them to you guys in an email, and put them in the packet. We can have that discussion.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we answered Commissioner Rozel's question, though. It was not in their submission.
Okay.
Ethan had to ask specifically
Got
for it, and then they provided a response. Same thing happened with CTS and many other smaller businesses, which we're accustomed to. This is a follow-up question. So I received the information because I asked for it.
But I don't think this is a failure on the part of the engineering company. I think it's a failure on the part of the city to make sure that every vendor who answered the RFP submitted that. And so if we had a better, perhaps vendor policy in place that would ensure that that information is captured, then we wouldn't have to table this.
Well,
for-
except if they respond by saying they're in full compliance with federal law, I'm not arguing the point, I'm just I guess I asked the question, why is that good enough?
Because the question wasn't, are you in compliance with federal law?
I would ask a question for our city attorney. The bids have been solicited, the bids have been responded to. Are we running afoul of our charter or any state law by asking any subsequent follow-up questions post-bid, or are we permitted to do that as part of the bid, the bid process?
Well,
I don't want to, if we're not
Yeah,
allowed to
and
consider
I
it.
don't remember all the language that was in the bid, but the city always has the right to accept or reject any bids.
Okay.
Or to waive anything in the bid process. So, to me, you would have the right to say, okay, go back to all three and tell them, answer this question.
Okay, great,
Okay?
all right.
I did have a question on that. So, the way I understand, this operated somewhat like a construction bid, so we can accept, if there's a vendor that we like better, that's 10,000 more.
Yes,
We're completely within our legal
yes,
rights.
you can accept or reject any bid. You don't have to accept the lowest bid.
Okay.
All right, then I have no issue withdrawing my motion and postponing. If the seconder agrees to it, also to my withdrawal, I would introduce a new motion to table this to a date certain, our December meeting, and ask city administration to send the same question to all three vendors regarding their diversity, equity, and inclusion commitment and programs, and get those responses to the commission in time for our December meeting.
Do you need a second?
I think we do.
Yes.
I second that motion.
Public comment? Hearing none? Any further comment from my colleagues? Hearing none? The motion is to table this request to approve the bid for the traffic control signal until the December meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing no opposed? No, I don't hear anybody opposing it, so if the motion to table is passed, this will be brought up again at the December meeting after questions posed by Commissioner Elder have been answered. Okay, so the last item is to accept, this item number 8 is to accept scheduled dates for the City Commission in 2025. That's part of the packet. Any discussion about this? Public? I assume the public doesn't care when we meet, except Ms. Downey, she likes to know when we
They have my
meet.
schedule.
So she can get it in her phone. Hearing no public comment, City Commission comment?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, just one comment, and that is, I was talking with our city clerk before the meeting, the organizational meeting that's listed for November 17th,
Yes.
because of a change in state law that goes into effect in 2025, our organizational meeting will have to be held December 2nd. The state law negates our charter provision. And so no city officer is permitted to take office prior to December 1st.
Well, I don't think we need to do much except change the date on the agenda item number 8.
Yeah, for the November 17th meeting.
Change the November, subject to the change of November 17th to December 2nd. Do we hear a motion to approve the dates for the 2025 City Commission meetings?
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Subject to the change.
subject to the change.
I'll
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any public discussion? City Commission discussion? Public and City Commission discussion opportunities are closed. Vote on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes, and the date for the organizational meeting is 12/2/25. Very good. Okay, that concludes our items that we had to deal with tonight. City Manager's report. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, I'll be very brief. Paving work on Meadowcrest is now done. They're doing some sod work, but that has been opened up to the public. And since we last met, the final work on Parkwood has been done too. Those are the two big major reconstruction projects. Those were large, and I appreciate most of the patience that we had from the community dealing with that. I know sometimes work is slow on those, as they're not just road projects, they're water and sewer projects. And those water main connects especially take a while. There's a lot of work to be done there, but I've ridden them both now. I think they both ride very well, and I think the final work on that was good. And that should outlast all of us here, as it was done well. Wanted to thank, obviously, Clerk Barkholz and her staff for all their work in the last few months on the elections. Things went very well here. Turnout was good, as it always is in Huntington Woods. And I think we will be hearing something from
Nat Pernick?
From Nat Pernick on the turnout contest. And I haven't seen the final results yet, but
Did we win?
we won. Of
I
course we
think
did.
so.
One every year.
Of course we did. We always
So.
win. And there will probably be some remuneration for that. And these, those IT bids, that was a tremendous amount of work, almost all of which was not done by me. Ethan really carried the heavy load on that. So I think, because it was so much work, we really tried. I think one of the first things we did when I got here was had a new IT bid. We got a new vendor in, and really tried to make that relationship work, because this is cumbersome, but it was affecting the operations of the city. So we undertook the work to do it again. And I hope this one works, because we don't want to do this again. We have two gentlemen from T2S who agreed to come to this meeting tonight, and they were as entertained as I told them they would be, I think, by being here. But we had very good working with them. So thank you for being here. We look forward to a positive relationship, and we got a lot of work for you. So I think they're up to the task. But really, thanks to Ethan. He took on the burden of getting that done, and I'm very appreciative. I think it'll be a benefit to the city. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner comments? Commissioner Sahaya?
Just a question for the city manager. So I believe it was the last meeting that we agreed to the cleanup of Scotia Park, and
Yes.
looks so much better. I have heard concerns coming out of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board about drainage, which was closed up. Is that anything that Great Lakes had expressed? Is that anything that we need to be concerned about in the future as far as possible drainage problems over there?
We're gonna have to monitor it. I don't really know that, so there was a couple things that remember when that park was entirely redone, the slope of it was really changed. There was drainage that was put in, we knew we were gonna do that. There were drainage caps that were in, particularly the areas along Lincoln and Scotia, and then on the north side there at Vernon, where we filled in quite a bit. So some of that's, I think, gonna end up being redirected to drains at the edge of the road. We're gonna have to wait till that settles a little bit, compacts, to see how it works. I anticipate we'll have to put in some kind of drainage in the future. I don't know where the natural drainage spots and those spots are gonna be, because we filled in so much. They brought in they did use good quality sand in that. I think it was almost 90 yards of material that was brought in there to fill that back in. It was extensive. So I anticipate we're gonna have to do something in the future. I didn't want to, that was not to completely install the drainage now until you see how it drains in the future. There will probably be some ponding we'll deal with in 2025 as heavy rains come in, and we'll make our decisions based on that. Murphy's Law, wherever we put it now, is gonna probably be the wrong place. But I think they're correct. We did cap off some of the old drainage that was there. And I think we'll modify that with new drainage in the future.
Thank you.
Okay.
No comments from me, thank you.
You have any comments tonight? No. Okay. Mr. Roselle?
Just wanted to thank our clerk. I went and early voted at the Oak Park Community Center in the election, and there was a line, and I thought, well, we'll see how this goes. 25 minutes in and out. I saw Heidi there working along with a lot of our residents that had signed up. They did a great job. We teamed up with Berkeley, Oak Park, and Pleasant Ridge to save money, and overall, the feedback that we got was extremely positive. I don't know if you heard the same thing from residents, but you did a great job, and appreciate it. Another election in the books. So.
Can I say that we thank you, Oakland County, as well? I mean, you guys are
Happy to
amazing
help.
in
Yeah.
our support, in your support, so.
Yeah, it out. That's all, Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. I don't have any comments, just, Mr. City Manager, the new city manager that has started in Berkeley, she is someone I take it you know well.
Yes, Crystal's from Oak Park. I had the pleasure of working with her on a couple different projects, and I think that was a good hire, and she'll do well. And not just the new city manager, but happen to know the new deputy finance director there, a longtime colleague of mine, who reconnected with and found out was looking for a job and directed her that way. So Amy Zarowski just started yesterday as a new deputy finance director, and I think Berkeley is happy with us, and we get one good merit award for that. So we got one we can call into them later. Maybe we'll get salt for free next year.
Well, I do not know her, but I would encourage an opportunity for there to be some sort of joint meeting, participation, or whatever, so that we can talk about shared concerns between our city and the city of Berkeley.
Sure.
If we could get something like that on the books.
Be happy to do that. I could reach out to Mayor Dean as well, and see about getting some kind of joint meeting together.
There are some items that I think we should discuss and hopefully move forward with. Very good. Hearing nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everybody.